about?
I will bring the stats next time.
No, I'm talking about no. I thought you were to say right now.
No, you know I will.
That's a hard argument. First, Reggie Bush won the Heisman. What's Heisman? What you gotta say?
Hey, that was during the time where, all right, so the talent pool was deep, but come on now. You talking about Ted Ginn Jr., you talking about Tebow era, you talking about all of them.
Yeah.
During those years with Percy was that was a thick class.
So the knock on Percy is he had a Heisman win on his team.
I just think people.
So he wasn't the best player on his team.
People just not paying attention to him though. No. Because when the ball was in the air, there was one man that was going to go get it.
Yeah.
Every time. And he lost from the back too.
All right, which is out. All right, let's do it. So, family, everybody watching, you are now tuned into another episode of the EL2A podcast. I am Jamie, your host, Jamie Gilmore Jr. To my left of me, I got Mr. Military Man, Mr. Krabs. Let me get to today. So, we call him Mr. Military.
I know military.
Yeah. Mr. Military Man, so one of our boys did on that one. All right, but now he's Mr. Krabs also.
Okay.
So, I would allow you to tell him the story why we call him, why he heard the name Mr. Krabs.
All right, I give the abridged version. So one time I had to pay a great deal for something. And when I saw that much money come out at one time, I had to go take a nap. I had the money, but yeah, it was just like
getting headache.
Yeah.
Get the headache.
I was under the well.
Oh yeah, that's the Krabs. Sorry, it's a penny picture right there. All right, and then to the right of him, you got Mr. Rocket, Mr. Eddie Rocker, and then we have our special guest, our new mayor of Ocala, Mr. Ben Marciano. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you guys.
For joining us. So how we always start our podcast. So we think as men, we don't check on each other. We don't like to express ourselves, talk about our feelings. This is something we practice with our boys as well. So we call it a mental health check. So we ask from the scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And we'll start off with you, just from a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm a 9.
A 9? So why do you feel 9?
First of all, I'm spiritually connected. I feel great about where I'm at in my relationship with God. I wake up early in the morning and I put him first. I also take a lot of time to meditate in the morning. Mm-hmm. But it always starts up here. Like I can choose whether or not to have a good day or a bad day, and I just choose to have good days lately. But I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm enjoying learning the job of the mayor and serving the community. I feel like I'm in my purpose right now. Cool. So things are good.
I love it.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Rocket?
I'm an 8, man. We get to see the kids today. Everybody in Chester. But just the same thing. I mean, just being able to be alive. I'm good. 8. I love it.
How about yourself, Brother Miles?
I said 9. I'm a little bit sleepy, but it's all good. Sleepy because of good things.
Yeah.
It's one thing just be tired because, your mindset's not right or you're just not engaged. But it's a little bit of fatigue just from trying to do some things that's really going to serve the good of the community.
So, and I'll say that as well, a 9. Tired as well. So I woke up, actually give you a plug as well, Zone Fitness. I'm actually part of the CrossFit over there. We had a very rough session yesterday. We did some military. It was to pay respect to 9/11. It was a pretty intense workout. Oh yeah, I found myself over at the desk doing this all day yesterday, and even today my legs a little sore. But again, a 9, just knowing what we're doing, the mission behind it, doing being here with you. Just it's an honor and a privilege to do what we do. So I'm a 9, so I feel great. But yeah, man. So let's get into it. So Ben Marciano, you have to tell us about. So for the people that don't, I know you're a real well-known person. But for the people that don't know, you can give us a little just quick synopsis of who is Ben Marciano?
Absolutely. Well, a little bit about me. I was raised by my grandfather, who was a retired New York City police officer. Good man. Was like being in military school with him. Pushed me really hard, but taught me really good values that have stuck with me over life. Be a man of your word. That was one that he instilled in me. If you say you're going to do something, do it. He really pushed me to always be on time, and being on time was be 15 minutes early.
Sure.
And I really appreciate that because I feel like that's a lost art today.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever you do something, give it your all, whatever it is. And I remember my grandfather used to wake me up early in the morning, and I'd have to do chores before school, and I hated it, but it was probably the best thing for me.
Yeah.
And so I was raised by my grandfather. Graduated from Lecanto High School. Then I went to CF, did a degree in criminal justice. Then FSU, we talked a little bit about that.
For sure.
Took a little bit of a career path and change and went into the health club industry. Hit a low point in my life. And we've talked a lot about that. At one point, I struggled with drug addiction and alcohol addiction in 2005. Hit a real low point, to the point where I didn't know if I want to live anymore.
Yeah.
And I kind of cried out for help, and help came. Checked into the centers on Airport Road, and stayed there for 6 months and learned the tools that I needed to learn on how to live my life properly. And when I checked out of there, I had nothing. I really had no resources, but I worked my tail off, got a job at Lord's Gym as a trainer and doing some cleaning, and went from there to the YMCA and worked my way up to vice president. A lot of obstacles along the way. I've talked a lot about that. Actually, there were numerous times where I was passed over for jobs that I thought I should have, but I never gave up on it, and worked my way up. I was the youngest vice president in the Y, and then in 2014, we bought Zone Health and Fitness, and very successful gym that we've turned around. But I have 3 kids, love them to death, enjoy being a father. Sometimes it's really difficult. I got a teenage boy. I don't know how long I'm going to be the mayor with him at this point. No, but I love them. It's just we're going through season of life where I have to be really invested in my kids. And then I got the most amazing woman in my life as my wife. I say I married Mother Teresa, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, and it's really helped me become who I need to be today.
For sure, I love it, man. And now just hearing your story, so I mean, I guess what is life about when you feel a person that comes from a point you say you felt like taking your life.
Yeah.
Now you just go on this whole trajectory of having a wife, having a kid, owning your own business, and now being able to see this as a mayor. Like what do you feel like? Because that could be a fairy tale to somebody. Do you feel as if your life's a fairy tale? Or like, what do you think when you think back on where you came from to where you are now? How does that feel?
Sometimes I have to pinch myself. It's surreal, because I didn't get into a lot of the things of where I came from as a child. But to be honest with you guys, I shouldn't be here today. I shouldn't be here. There were many times I remember guns being pulled on me and the gun not going off, overdosing, seeing a white light coming out of that. So to be where I am today is surreal, but God can do anything. I tell people, if you work hard, you put God first and you serve others, good things happen. And I believe that's been the story of my success.
Yeah.
I've also surrounded myself with really good people I want to be like. I got good business people that mentor me. I got guys that are great fathers, and I've learned from them, and I've just been open to hearing the criticism along the way, and it's helped me develop into who I've become today.
Yeah, and that's huge. So many times there's so many, and we see this a lot in there, what we do with dealing with young people, you let things hinder you. So what I'm hearing is a person that, you're open to acknowledging your downfalls, but you also overcame. There was a level of willpower you had to have to push through all those things. And it's a mindset that we're trying to still, and we say do for self. And a lot of what you're talking about, I hear you had help. And that's important as well, because we need people, and we need to be able to have people, to help us push us through the things that we have. So I know we wanted to touch on, the leadership thing and things like that. So I have to pass it to you. I know you over there still in your mind with, we'll pass to the leadership deal.
Yeah, I mean, just moving forward with, like Jamie said, the mindset that I'm trying to instill, a do-for-self mindset. Even though you reached out and you asked for help, that's still, you had to make that choice.
Yeah.
You had to say, I know that I could do better if I just had this village around me. So what kind of sparked that for you? Like, what was that northern light of sorts that said, okay, I'm going to make the choice that I'm going to build up a team around me, a network?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen successful people in life, and I always wanted that for myself. A lot of the circumstances that surround me, I allowed it to define me, and I just didn't want that to define me anymore. And in fact, there were a lot of times growing up, I was told I would never amount to anything. And those voices would ring true in my head, and just the insecurities. And I just finally said, I'm just not listening to that voice anymore. And I wanted more for myself. But it first came with crying out to God.
Yeah.
That was the first step. I actually cried out to God, and I asked God to help me, and he opened the first door. And then from there, it was responsible to do the footwork and reach out to the people that were there for me along the way. And there's been different seasons of life. Different men have come in my life at that point to help me with certain things. Sometimes I outgrow those relationships and God brings in new people, but I have to be willing to identify that and say, okay, God, I see that you're bringing this person to me now, and, allow that person to guide me and mentor me. I'll tell you, early on, it was hard to hear some of the criticism, like I almost wanted to justify it. Oh, no, here's why. But you have to listen, and you have to hear it. And I'll tell you, even my wife, early on in our marriage, we really struggled because she was She was knocking a lot of the rough edges off, and she'd call me on things, and I wanted to turn the finger right around back on her. And, you know, it was when I grew as the man of the household and really grew my relationship with God is when everything got better.
Yeah, I like it. And you said, so new people came into, so basically, you know, everybody isn't, you know, for the whole ride, just seasonal. So in that moment, though, did you have the same mindset, or were you like, man, why am I moving? Why is this person going?
I questioned it, and sometimes I go back trying to force those old relationships,
Right.
and then finally realize, okay, it is time to move on. It is a different season, but it really was hard. It's like, okay, you know, what's going on here?
Yeah, and it's funny because I still struggle with that, honestly, like right now. Like there are some relationships I built over my life, so especially when I played collegiate football. So like my teammates, you know, you build like roommates.
Yes.
Like I spent so much time with these people, and even now in my life, it feels kind of like weird. Like we're all of us are busy. We all doing our separate things. So it's like we can't find the time to meet up and do certain things, and all of us feels weird. And I'm like, man, what? I think I have to go over and beyond this.
Yeah.
Figure out how can we make this work.
Right.
And like you said, we outgrowing situations. So what made you know that it's okay? Like what was the thing that you was like, this is okay to move on? Like it's okay to go to the next season without this person?
I think it was realizing that the peace wasn't there anymore with that relationship. And I'll give examples. So I had guys that, you know, I'd partied with that were good friends in my mind. So I would always go back trying to connect with them and essentially try to get them to come on the side of recovery. And that just wouldn't work. But it would always put me in an uncompromising situations. And I had to understand, again, who am I trying to be in my life? You know, what are the values that I want? And I will tell you, most of the time, what I've seen is I have a hard time bringing those people up, but they will always bring me down, right? So be around the people that you want to be like. A lot of times you pick up those behaviors, and it's vice versa. If you be around people that you shouldn't be around, you're going to pick up their behaviors too.
Yeah. So coming from your the position you were, the low moment, then you say you moved up. So I think I'm gonna just jump to not the United Way, but the where were you at?
The why?
Why?
Yeah.
The why. So how I guess coming from your position, did you get help? Did somebody mentor? How did you get into going into the why? How was that transition for you? How did you transition into the why?
Yeah, so I started at the Y as a front desk person.
Okay.
And just with hard work and work ethic, I moved up. In fact, they had told me, you will get promoted if you produce. And I was told that along the way. And in fact, we produced at a very high level, and the person above me got promoted, and I did not.
Mm-hmm.
And that day, somebody walked into the Y and offered me a job making a lot more money than I was making at the Y. I said, you know what? I'm going to take that. I'm a young family man. I got to support for my family, but let me get back to you tomorrow. And I remember going home that night and talking to my wife. I said, Danielle, the Y passed me over. You know how hard I worked to earn this job.
Right.
And, but, you know, God provided. We got another job making a lot more money. She goes, that is not who you are. Stop running from things when things come your way. Prove to them that you are the man for the job. Every time things get tough, you run. You know, but that's all I ever saw.
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I actually stood it out. I actually went to work the next day and envisioned my name on the executive director nameplate, and I worked my tail off, and over the next 3 months, I became the executive director.
So, see, what I love about that story is that because oftentimes we've experienced it, especially as young adults, trying to have collaborative efforts with individuals, and oftentimes it's a lack of awareness. A person can see the potential within themselves, but they're not aware of where they currently are and what it takes to make that a realization, that dream a realized thing. But here you are, you're saying that, you know, you had this powerful vision. You could see your name on the plaque, but you was aware of your current station and also the trajectory, the efforts that will have to be applied to get that. I think that's missing in a lot of individuals, that awareness aspect.
Yeah. Think about it. If I would have taken, it was an insurance job to me. Okay. I would have sold insurance.
Yeah.
Zone would have never happened.
Yeah.
Think of all the lives that have changed. Me becoming the mayor probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
You know, because that's how I learned to serve the community, was through the business. God had a plan. I didn't run from the problem. I went at it head on, and I knew where I wanted to go, and I suck it out, and I received the reward from it.
Speaking of Zone, how did that concept come about? So how did the idea of, okay, I need to go do my own thing, how did you know, okay, this is the moment to do this now?
2014, where I just raised $5 million in the community to expand the local Y. Raising $5 million is no joke. It wore me out, man. People would see me coming, they'd run. They know I was going to ask them for money, and I had got promoted to vice president at the Y, and I'm driving to Orlando. And I believe that how God moves me is I can almost feel an uneasiness. And so I said, okay, God, what do you want from me? And that weekend I went on my boat on Lake Weir at Eaton's Beach. I'm there, and I ran into a businessman, Tom Ingram. And Tom walked up to me and said, would you want to open a gym with me? I said, Tom, I just raised $5 million in the community. How do you think that would look to everybody? He said, oh, you're probably right. He said, well, if anything ever changes, you let me know. Well, that night I went home, and in my dream, God spoke to me, you're going to open up a gym. And I woke up the next morning, and I shared it with Danielle. We prayed over it. She said, this is what God's plan is for you. So Compass Health and Fitness, which we know the story of that, and how that started. A guy embezzled billions of dollars. He opened up that gym. It was seized by the feds. Yeah. Then another guy bought it who I knew. And I called him up one day, and I said, hey, Bill, can I speak to you? Went to his office. I said, hey, would you ever want to sell this gym? Had the look of complete shock on his face. Yeah. And he looked at me. He goes, my wife and I were on our knees last night praying to an answer to God because we were shutting this gym down in 2 days. And you walk in today, he goes, whatever you need to make it happen, we will do it. I bought it for $1. But it was losing $40,000 a month. Everybody begged me. Yeah. You have 3 kids. You're a vice president for an organization. You have a great career. Makes no sense. Please don't do this. You will not be successful. But God pulled me, and I took the leap of faith. Yeah. And I'll tell you, the next 9 months owning that business was the hardest time of my life. Yeah. It was really difficult. With the struggles we went through to make that work. You see a great, successful gym today, but it was get in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, work until 12 at night. My wife was in there with my kids every day. The stress of not knowing if we're going to be able to make the light bill or pay the employees. Yeah. It took years off my life.
I hear it. So going into, so I hear a lot of leadership from the moments that your lowest moments is still with leadership qualities that you showed in the moments to get over those humps. So even now transitioning to, what we're walking into now and going to the broader perspective of thinking Ocala, if someone can question you and say, how can he be the mayor? All he does is manage gyms. What he knows about being the mayor? What would be your response to that person?
Well, I'll be honest. I asked God that. I said, God, why are you choosing me for this job? Mm-hmm. But I do feel it's a calling. I think you look at my heart and how I serve people, because that's the way I look at the job of the mayor. Obviously you're over the police department, huge responsibility, but we have a great police chief, and I look at it as my job is to serve him, help him be successful. But I think it's the heart that I have to serve people, and that's what qualifies me. When I look at this job, I really do think that when I look at my past, I've always wondered, why did I have to go through so many horrible things in my life? But who better to serve people that had someone that's been at the bottom and worked his way up and been through it, Exactly.
And another piece of that too is because you work from the bottom up. Yeah. You have it gives you a keenness about seeing potential of other people, because you live that. That is your story. Yeah. Even for myself, I remember the first conversation I had with you officially. It was through a phone call, and you called and said, "Hey, I see potential in you in being a trainer." And I full self-doubt. So I was from the military at the time. Now I'm talking about going to the service industry. That's completely night and day. But he saw something in me I didn't see in myself at the time. And then he said, no, just come on. We'll basically take care of it. We'll, explain things. We're not gonna let you fail. And to look at that conversation back then and to where we both are sitting right now is, you said to me before, it's divine.
Yeah.
So it's that's just powerful with the level of insight that your life experience is giving you. And now, you're the mayor. So now you can see other individuals and help lift up other people who may, be having doubts. So, and it's crazy. So, saying that, I'm saying this. So I heard the story before, you came over the summer and spoke to the kids. And there's, to hear, where you come from, the things you've been through to where you are now, it's crazy as a man. So again, if nothing else, I feel like if we haven't experienced anything else, is those bad days, those trials and tribulations that we experience as men. But one thing that that keeps sticking out is your belief in God and trusting in your vision. So now that you're mayor, it's because I'm at this point, if you believe it, if you tell me God brought this to you in your dream, then it's gonna come to fruition. So what do you see Ocala? Now that you're mayor, where do you see Ocala going from? Where is that now to over your time of being in the suit?
I'm excited. I've had the opportunity in the last year, because I was out in the community, but really to get out and learn as much as I can. And I do believe Ocala is a special place. My dad lives in New York. He visits Ocala. And when he comes to Ocala, he can sense almost like a spirit alive. People care. They ask you how you're doing. And I love that. So I think we have a really good foundation and we have some really good things going. I would love to see it put a major focus on the physical and mental health of our community. I'm sure you guys recently saw is one of the articles recently, we were rated the most unhealthy city in the state of Florida.
Yes.
How unbelievable is it that I'm coming in as the mayor when we just got that rating, and I have 25 years experience in the health and fitness industry. So we're going to put a major focus on getting people healthy. Listen, if you don't struggle with chronic illness, none of us probably do here, but when you do, if you have heart disease, cancer, diabetes, any of those major issues, that becomes your priority. Well, we got to get in front of that and prevent that. So that's number one. Number two is we got to address the mental illness in our community, man. Heard the superintendent talk today. She said, kids, I said, well, you're dealing with these kids. When they're at home having to deal with what they have to deal with, and they're in school, they're thinking of all the stuff that they have going on at home. How can they focus on what's in front of them? Right. So we have to have really good mentors in our community that can be a guiding light, which you guys do a great job. I talk about you guys all the time, but we need more of it, right? We need more resources aligned to helping people with mental illness. I do think we have some great programs in the community that people just don't know about, right. But I'm going to be a voice. I'm going to educate people. It's okay to speak up. Like you said, I love that you started, hey, let's open up first. Part of the biggest reason why people struggle is because they just don't talk. Yeah. They don't get it out. I tell them, if you don't get it out, it will take you out. So get it out of you, get it in the light, let God hear it, let someone else hear it. And then that's half the battle. So I really want to educate the community on the importance of mental illness. But also, I want to bring people together for the good of the community. That's my heart. Like, that's the message I keep hearing, bringing people together for the good of the community. And I think we can accomplish something great, that maybe we could be an example for the country of how we could do that. Right. And look at what Ocala is doing. Yeah. How come we can't do that across the country? And I think it starts with love and understanding. I've never been able to change anybody, their thought process, by beating them over the head. How I have been able to connect with people is when I take a moment just to maybe show you some love, compassion, and hear you. And that's when people open up. Yeah. And I think that's when we can have real lasting change.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you a story, but how do you plan to do that? Is what I'm gonna get to. Sure. But so I think of an example. One of our boys, we took the boys, and you actually came that day. We went to OPD. One of our boys, he said he has a family member that's a cop, and he stated that the only good cop was his family member. Yeah. And obviously because he has a relationship with him. So the middle ground between this is building relationships. Yeah. So my question to you is, how do you plan to build relationships with the citizens of Ocala?
Yeah. And I asked the citizens, what do you want from me? And I'm talking about all parts of the community, because I've spent time in all parts. And they said, we want you to be present. We want you to know that we're being heard. I think it starts with that for me. But then I got to be able to I have to bring the community together. I have to have opportunities to bring people together so that they can be heard. But as a mayor, I will be very hands-on. I'll be out in the community learning the concerns. But I look at forming committees. I've only been effective at any leadership role by having really good people around me. So I'm going to be tapping on you guys. I'm going to be tapping on other people in the community that I know are going to be good resources that we can bring in a room. We can focus on solutions. We can identify the problem, but we're going to talk about how do we get to the solution of this. And then we're going to activate people. We're going to go out and get it done.
Yeah, and I love the solution-based thing. And obviously, we talk about that a lot. And a lot of things, so like you said, leadership, and obviously this is just my opinion. I think it just comes from a lot of people, their individual feelings. There's not enough people setting the vision for, okay, these are the goals that we want to accomplish as a collective, and putting feelings aside. Yeah. And I know in your position that can be tricky, because it can, you can be paying the bad guy in the things, but are you prepared, I guess, in a sense? I want to know, like, are you prepared for that, being able to ruffle a couple of feathers to accomplish the goal?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think I've had the opportunity to experience some of it, being a business owner, dealing with 8,000 members, trying to know where the vision is of where we want to go, having 100 employees that work for me. So it's smaller scale, right, than a city, but I've had some of those experiences of having to work through knowing what the vision is. And listen, the way that I look at it is, you could always be hurt. You can always have a voice, and I'm allowed people to have a voice, but we know where we got to go. I'd like to spend a lot of prayer, putting really good people around me to prepare me for this job. So I would say, yes, I'm ready for it.
Like, what are you worried about? Something has to be worrying you, keeping you up about going into this role. What is that thing that you're really concerned about as you go into this?
Yeah, I want to be, if you know me, I'm all about performance. I want to produce. I want to be effective. It's easy to get pulled in a lot of directions is what I'm finding. And, being there for everyone and being out in the community. But I want to have a solid plan in place and know what my objectives are that I can show true results. So it's knowing the priorities, not getting pulled, but being able to stay focused on the objectives so that we can really accomplish something really great in the community.
Y'all cut in when you want. I keep going. Well, what type of leader are you? So if you can, I guess, point out any leaders that you see that you like to, take after, or what, and then like explain your leadership. What kind of leader you think you are?
So I would tell you in the past, I was a bad leader. I learned from being a bad leader. I learned from watching bad leaders, and I copied a lot of their traits, and it made me a bad leader. And what I mean by that is that I could get results, and I would push you, but you were a number, and it was all about getting you to get the results that I wanted. And I never was, what I found is that I was never happy. I was never happy. And it took somebody that I cared about that worked for me and said, Ben, you are a good leader. You're a good person, but the way that you show it is just wrong. And do you want to be remembered for being someone that was the best gym owner, or do you want to be remembered for being someone who's a great leader? Man, that hit me in the heart. And then that day I talked to my mentor, and he said, Ben, I think you'll find what you're looking for if you would just serve people.
Yeah.
And the next day I came to work, instead of telling people what they needed to do, I just asked them how I could serve them and be there for them.
Yeah.
And what I found in that is that the more I served people, the more that they became successful, because I was helping them become better people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they naturally followed me without me having to force them in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell you that I'm a servant leader, and that's where I find my true passion and purpose. And what I find that I'm most excited about is not the numbers anymore. It's watching people develop it to their full potential.
Yeah.
And that's where I find my happiness.
I love that. So as a leader that's, willing to build people up, if you could, convey a message to those that are there to help you, what type of, how best can we serve Ben Marciano?
I think number one is I want honesty. Just tell me what you see, what you're thinking. I need people out there, definitely be my eyes and ears. But also, and I said this the other night, I was speaking to a group, is that if you're going to come to me with a problem, also come to me with some solutions, and let's work together to get that done. I'm never going to be effective trying to do this on my own, but I can be effective if I have you guys as resources and knowing that we're going to work together to get it done. So I think it's identifying issues, but then also let's focus on some solutions of how we can get it done and be in there to get it done together.
We had conversation before, I guess, the city of Ocala. So we know Ocala. I'm born and raised in Ocala, so I've been here a long time. There's a lot of change. So I don't think a lot of people give it enough credit.
Yes.
Where it was to where it is. And I like to highlight that. But going forward, like what are we, I know what time, and I ain't gonna put you on blast, but I know, we said, you want to see some things, but tell me some of the things you would like to see come to the city to make the city, I guess, more vibrant, or what would you like to see added to the current situation in there?
Yeah, I think more things focused around health, healthier. I think we have great restaurants. Let's continue to build on that, but let's bring healthier options. I think I'd like to see more things for kids and families. It's one of the things that I heard when I was out in the community. I think we've done a good job bringing the Mary Sue Rich Center here, so definitely props to the people who did that. But we need to have more activities for kids and families to do. More things for our young people too, to say, hey, I can see myself doing that job. I think we've done a great job bringing business here, but I think that we can start looking at what businesses do we want, who do we want to be, and be very focused on trying to attract those businesses. I think the CEP does a great job. I look forward to working with them to really start cherry picking some businesses for sure and bringing them to our community. So those will be some of the things that will be important to me. Obviously, as we continue to grow, we need to stay in front of it with a good plan. I will tell you what I've learned. You look at it, you say, well, maybe they're not doing a good job on building roadways, or they're behind the ball in the school system. I think that the current people in office are doing a really good job. It's a bottleneck from 5 years ago, not having a good plan in place, right, with a growth that just came as a tidal wave.
Yeah.
But they are planning, and they're working hard, and they're doing what they can. And I think I just look at being a resource in that way, to be another eyes and hands of how we can get this done to really be good for our community.
I like it. And so you're our mayor. What is the mayor? Like, what is the role of a mayor? We probably should have covered that at the beginning. But what is the role of a mayor? What does a mayor do?
Yeah, number one responsibility is to oversee the police department. And every community is different on what a mayor does, right? Our particular community, you oversee the police department, which is a huge role. Why do you think people are saying, oh, I want to move into Ocala? they're looking at the safety of the community. That's important, right? It's crazy how God works. I went to school for criminal justice, always had a dream of being in law enforcement, wanted to make my grandfather proud. Obviously took a detour because of the choices I made in my life, hit a real low point. Now look, because of hard work, putting God first, I come back and now I'm working with the police department. Not as a, as an officer captain, but actually working as the mayor. And it's kind of surreal. So no more responsibilities to oversee a police department. You also have a huge voice. I tell people, you as a mayor, you have a lot of influence to do a lot of good. And that's one of the things that appeal to me in the position, is that I almost act as, I never realized it, but people call me all the time if they're struggling with addiction or they need a job, or maybe they're struggling with family resources. And I've always built such great relationships that I know exactly how to connect the dots. And that's the way I look at the mayor's job, is that now you have even more influence to do good for the community. You're also a voice to create the direction of the community. And that's the way I look at it, almost like you're setting the culture for the community. And that's something that I'm really excited about.
I love it. It's crazy, man, because 32 years old, I had to think about it. 32 years old, and I never said, so I guess within the community, growing up within the inner city, we never talked about the mayor with like people of elect, certain positions. We never talked about it. But to be able to sit on the stage with the current mayor, to be is big, and I believe, again, just going back to your story and being, just being able to communicate, to be able to be a people of the community. I think within the inner city, where we see a lot of the crime, a lot of the death toll and things that are going on, I feel like it's a good chance where and this is from man to man, I believe, just hearing you and learning more about you. I always hear about you from Miles, but to be able to really hear your story is, I believe that there will be change that can be done. And I mean, it's just to know that we can be a part to help you out, knowing that being able to bridge that gap. I mean, it's a big thing. I mean, never had this position before, never had a chance to do this before, but to also sit here and to see like, okay, well, we know, again, that vision, to know where we are and where you want to go, just being able to be a part, I think, that's big.
Thank you. It means a lot. And I do want to respect our current mayor. He's still our current mayor until December. I take office in December.
Okay.
And so essentially I'm mayor-elect. I'm learning right now, and so that I can hit the ground running, in December. And so that's been great. But I do want to interject. So I had the opportunity to go speak to New Leaf Behavioral School the other day. I don't know if you guys are aware of New Leaf. They asked me to come talk, and I believe it was a God thing. And the kids walked in, and I was going to share my story, and I asked the teacher, how honest can I be? They said, "Ben, share everything." I said everything. They said everything. So I shared my childhood trauma, some of the things that I've been through, and I shared this with you guys. I'm not going to go into the details, but if you could think of something bad happening to a kid growing up, it happened to me. It did. I was put in some really uncompromising situations, and some bad things happened. So I shared it. The kids all had their head down the whole time until I shared something. Then I shared something about how I was abused. Head came up. Shared something about how I struggled in this facet and what I went through. And it was amazing by the end, because of the story and the vulnerability and the transparency. It allowed me to connect with these kids and give them hope. And I think that's also part of the reason why I'm doing this, is that it's a platform to share a message, to give people hope.
And touching on, like, hope is a big thing. And we play off the factor of motivation. So motivation, hope, they in the same line field, but it's like, you can't measure, you can't measure that. There's no, stat that measures motivation, how much your motivation motivated somebody, how much you gave them hope. But like you said, that told it all. It was raising their head to be able to say, okay, some. And I think that's what Eddie was getting in through your story. Your story is going to be able to touch so many, knowing that this man came from the bottom. It's not a story. And if we, can play the racial thing, you come in, okay, this is a white gentleman. Sure. He always, got this nice shit on. He got it made. He got a, nice white family. He don't know nothing about the struggle, but you've been able to, I've been there. And being able to relate. Relatability is the biggest thing. And that's what when we go in there with the kids, I'm trying to relate all of it. Let you know that I understand you. Let's relate first, and then we can figure everything else after that, until we build that level of relatability. So awesome. I think your story will be able to do that for sure. Oh, you want to go ahead? No,
I was just going to say, obviously with respect to other leaders out there, I think a lot of times when people are trying to establish themselves as, would-be leaders or potentially good leaders, I think they go into with the incorrect mindset. They go in thinking that I have to show, spit shine, now the hair out of line, and a lot of people chase perfection, instead of, really just trying to speak to truth. Like we're all talking, that relatability, you're speaking to the things that happens, unfortunately. And I think that is one of the biggest difference makers, between yourself and then just leaders in general. Not saying anything specific. It's just that's the mentality of someone who's trying to become a leader. I know that's something I struggled with early on, especially in the military, because it is so volatile, so full of pressure, that you don't want to seem as though you have even a bootlace out of line.
Right.
But I learned through trial and error that just like we're all saying, is that vulnerability. Saying,
right.
Hey, look, I get up, put my pants on just like you.
That's right. And it kind of brings back, my grandfather was my father figure. He was tough. In fact, if I were to ever show emotion, the comment was like, if you're going to show emotion, I'll show you why you will show emotion, right? So you just bottled it in, and that was old school mentality, right? You think that you're being courageous, bottling it in. What I've learned is how you connect with people is just getting real.
Yeah.
And people can sense it. Yeah. They can sense when you're not being real and transparent. And people want to know, hey, I want to know you, but I also want to know when you can share how you've overcome. It might give somebody the hope that they need. Yeah. You never know who's across you and what they need to hear right now from you.
Yeah, and so I kind of want to touch on a couple of things you said. So first off, even Mayor Glenn definitely show respect. Yes, so he's connected a lot of dots for me. A couple of things he's connected with, and he's helped me. He's been very helpful, absolutely, to my journey as well. So definitely pay respects to him. But I also want to touch back on so when you say you're over OPD, so is that like you're going in there and telling Chief Balkin what to do, or what does that mean? So explain that to me. What does it mean when you oversee OPD?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'd be his boss, but no, I'm not telling Chief Balkin what to do. Chief Balkin's very qualified and knows his job a lot better than how I know it. Yeah. My job is to understand the community, know how I can be a resource, maybe identify gaps, and work with Chief Balkin to make sure that we have the best police department in the community. And I know that's his goal. You guys spend time with Chief Balkin, and Chief Balkin will tell you his story. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that makes him so great is he's very vulnerable and transparent too, and how he's worked his way to get where he is today. I tell people, you could tell Chief Balkin has a big heart, but he's also going to be pretty tough on crime, which I think is important, right? I heard a story today, and I'm sure this will ring bells with you. I was talking to my dad, and he was telling me a story about his business partner, and growing up, his business partner's son would steal things. So then, he might have sold a piece of candy from the candy store. Dad let him get away with it. Maybe sold something a little bit bigger. Dad let him get away with it. Eventually, when he grew up, he robbed a bank. You know what he told his dad? The reason why I became a bank robber is because you let me get away with it. We think that we're helping people when we let them get away with things. That is not the case. We have to suffer repercussions to grow and make it through things, right? And I think that is something that is extremely important. It's been a lot of the reason why I've become who I've become today.
And you kind of, in your story, Chief Balkin just came over your head, because he talks about that a lot with our youth. Yeah, young youth being not held accountable for their actions. And another thing, so today, it broke my heart. Today I was riding on Martin Luther King. There's a cemetery right there, Tucker Hill Cemetery, not too far down from the Little Caesars. And the mom of one of the young men that died during the shooting during the New Year's Day, she was over there because he's buried over there. But I was just passing, and it broke my heart, because that situation is still unsolved. And it's just a crazy situation. So even for yourself, being over the police department or over the overseeing the police department, are there any things that you're going into? I guess when it comes to crime, obviously we know Chief Balkin is very qualified. He's trying to solve those things as well. But from your standpoint, is there anything that you're going in with the mindset of, I think we need to start doing this to maybe change something?
I think, specifically in the northwest side of town, I think we need more community involvement. We need the community working with the police department to solve some of these crimes, right? So I think it comes with trust and building, making sure that, hey, listen, we are here to support you, but we need the community and the police department working together for us to be effective. Yeah. That's going to be a big focus of mine.
I think something you said earlier really speaks to that, and it's that bottling up.
Yeah,
I think in our community, even if you want to exclude the more historical aspects, but just in general, there's so much pain in our community.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we ball it up and we try to find strength in it by saying, well, we're not gonna, let our pain leak out. We're gonna play tough. We're just gonna, lock arms with each other. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes you have to be willing to open up and say, this is where we're hurting. We have a problem.
Yeah.
And let's work together to come to a new tomorrow. So, I just wanted to bring that back.
Yeah.
Something that you said earlier about that pain, because that is, heartbreaking to drive by and see that. And that's something that we experience all too much as a collective in our community. But we have to be willing to come together with other individuals and say, look, we're hurting, but we don't have to continue down this path.
That's right.
I think individuals like yourself, Chief Balkin, very vulnerable, very open. Chief Balkin, yourself, even y'all talk to anybody.
Yeah,
I've seen that firsthand.
Sure.
And I know that y'all care.
Yeah.
So I would just definitely hope that the community understands that this is a right time to open up. We don't have to ball up anymore.
I think, like he just said, that's where we come into building. There's a divide. Yeah, we can't try to acknowledge.
I see it.
There's a divide.
Yeah.
There's them and there's us.
Yeah.
And we have to, as having a relationship with you, we have to be able to come in and be able to identify some things and bring Ben in and be able to say, hey, this is our mayor. He's willing to talk to you.
Yeah.
Have a problem? Yeah. Go talk to him. We'll help you set up a meeting.
Yeah.
We'll do a community, whatever, to be able to bridge the gap, because people, they just don't know. It's the lack of knowledge, the lack of, okay, I'm in my situation and I can't see past it.
Yeah.
Again, I hear what you're saying, but I can't see past this late bill that's on my desk or my son that's cutting up at school, and it's just so much noise that they can't see past that. So it's like, how do we get out of that? And I think even for ourselves, how do you think right now, if I ask you that question, how are we able to help Ben?
I would say we would have to be, and when I say this, it's also with respect, but we have to be willing to be disruptors. Because when the room is too loud, you got to have somebody get a honest. Because the problem is that we're too focused down the road, and we're missing our neighbors and right here that said, look, you can come over, we give you a shot, we'll help you out. We constantly look down the road to DC, to Congress, to the president, to all these different entities.
Yeah.
And you have a neighbor right here. We have to start seeing each other's neighbors. Yeah. That's, like you said, to your point, that's where we have to come in and be willing to take that bruise or that hit from the community by being willing to speak to truth and saying that, look, obviously what we've been doing in the past isn't working.
Yeah.
We got to be honest with that. It hasn't been working. Yeah. So what can we do differently? And I tell you all the time, Ocala is right with potential. When I say potential, I'm not talking about just commercial. It is just a mindset, a spirit in Ocala right now where we can definitely take a hold of this and really do something positive. Yeah.
And I like that neighbors thing you just said. So I like that. You lead it. And I kind of want to spin it to you. So, okay, you say December is when you officially go and see. So when December hits, what can we do when December hits to be able to start doing exactly what we say? Because too many times people just talk, right? Just talk about this fraud. Okay, we trying to sit. We got you right here, right now.
Yeah.
What is something as soon as December hit that we can start doing to help you?
Yeah. So no, I want to take this time now because I've been out in the community now to start building the plan.
Yeah.
Because I want to have a plan before I get in office so that we know exactly what we're doing. What are the objectives we want to accomplish? Who do I need to involve? And what are the timelines we're looking to get it done? Obviously, I'm in there for 2 years. I'd love to be able to say after 2 years, we can show measurable results that we've accomplished. So I'm gonna want you guys to be part of the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Help me be part of the solution in the west side of the community. Okay. Let's identify the issues. Who do we need to bring to the table? And let's start talking about it. And let's put a plan in place of how we can truly address it. So that's what I'm gonna really want your help in that area.
I love it. So I've said just, and again, I think one of the biggest things where we capitalize, as mentors, bridging that gap, that relationship between the kid and the teacher, or the kid, the parent and the teacher as well.
Yeah.
So for us, again, we are really from the inner city. We are from the in town, so to speak, right over by the city auditorium. But being able to be, I guess, to speak for both parties, because I think we do have I guess, good enough recognition to where, you know, they listen to us sometimes. They listen to us. Some of them try not to, but when you speaking the truth, and again, I go back to that. Like, I'm willing to stand up and speak the truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could say if there were any other leaders that were asking this, I probably would sit back. I mean, Miles, he brought me something before where it's like, hey, well, this is there's a meeting that, you know, I see my name is on this list.
Yeah.
But I haven't spoke with that leader to know, like, are they actually genuine?
Yeah.
Are they true to their word?
Yeah.
But again, sitting on the stage and talking to you, I'm willing to do it.
Thank you.
You know?
It means a lot. You know, what you guys are doing with these kids is, in my opinion, a lot of the solution, because you guys are changing the trajectory of these kids' lives, right? I think that's a long term, and we got to get a short term too. How do we fix some of the adults that are struggling with what they're at? But what I'd love to see is more of what you're doing. How do we continue to duplicate the success that you guys have created? Because I see those kids. Talking to them, they were so sharp, and they were some of the hardest the interviews that I've had to do. You know, they put me on the spot. But you know what? They also knew the problems, and they said, here's a solution to it. And I love that, because you got them thinking in a solution mindset as opposed to, we can't do it.
Yeah.
No, we can't. No, they were all, we can, and here's how. And I love that.
We actually we talked about it. You remember we were talking about going to some of the meetings, taking the kids to some of the meetings, like community meetings, to bring the kids, so that,
I love it.
again, I mean, of course, we know we want to speak to the adults, but to be able to bring the other futures.
Yes.
So bring them along and then get some of their insight too, because they probably know more about something I agree around. And
I learned a lot that day from them.
yeah,
You know, what they're dealing with. It was so good.
Yeah, and that's the plan. So even what he's saying, what we're doing is bring them along the journey. So many times there's a disconnect, because the leaders and the followers, for lack of better words, I don't know you. I don't, like, you tell, okay, you're saying this, but who are you? What have you done? So through our leadership, we're going to bring you along with us. We're going to document the process, and we're going to show you exactly what we're doing, and we're bringing our boys along, because the influences, man, I was just sharing this earlier. First of all, you know, the thing is getting influence. When you get influence, then you get attention.
Yeah.
We've been able to get influence and attention
Yeah.
very heavily. We have, I can show you my DMs. We have young men that reach out to us trying to get in our program through social media. That's the influence we have. We in person. He walked into the Mary Sue Richard, what you said happened the other day.
approached me and said, I want to be part of the program. One young man gave me his mother contact information, everything. Like, it is to that point now where
That's what it's about.
It's off brand recognition. You see the brand is like, okay, I want to be a part of that, because we built something that people want to be. Kids feel good. It makes them feel good. And even walking on campuses, so we deal with young boys. So obviously, you know, middle school girls and boys, you had your girls like, I follow your Facebook, I follow you, they look, you know what I mean, because that whole thing. But it's an ecosystem though, because eventually we'll get into girls as well. But it's an ecosystem of where we're trying to help the whole community, man. And it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I think God, like even your story related to me, because the moment when you say you ask God, like, what do you want from me? That's kind of how we got here, because I stopped and paused in a moment and say, God, like, take the wheel. Literally take the wheel. I said that, and then I come home, and then these things start happening. So I totally, you know, I relate to you in that situation. But yeah, man, this has been a great conversation. What I do want to do, and I don't know if fellas have more questions, but I do want to ask you this. You say the seat holds 2 years, right?
It does.
So I want you to cast, I guess, a vision of what you see when it's December 2025.
Okay.
What do you hope has happened during those 2 years?
Yeah, I would love to say that I see people together in the community, healthy, not only physically but mentally. People are coming together, focused on solutions, especially in we've identified the issues in the northwest side of town. We've reduced gun violence. We've helped these kids understand that they can have hope and they have direction. You've already started. I think we've almost duplicated what you're doing at a higher level. We have some of the healthier options and businesses that we've talked about. But I think the biggest thing is that we could say that we've been recognized as a community that has demonstrated we brought people together to serve the community for the common good. And that's togetherness. Yeah. And then we are the example.
I love it. So we got this, man. 2 years later, we're gonna be able to play this back.
Yeah, all right.
See,
No pressure.
I know that. I know that. But and I do, man. I appreciate you. I said it before. Even when, you know, it was kind of about that you were running, for me, it was exciting. You know, for one, it was exciting because at that point, I knew of you, but I, was able to build a relationship. But just even the fresh of what I thought of you, it's like you got, family man. He shows his family, shows his wife, his kids, a younger gentleman. Like he got some life to you. And even just learning you, learning about you more, getting to know you more, it just my excitement goes even higher, man, because I know the potential is high. You asked a question, and it's ringing a bell in my head right now. You asked, say, I don't know how you guys expand even more, or something like that you just said. I can tell you this. We could use gentlemen like yourself, introduce us to some more people that want to support and fund this thing. We can build this thing even further. I'm telling you, we got the room for expansion, and we're ready to expand.
We're going to do that. Yeah. And I want you to know what I think of you guys. You guys, honestly, I look up to you and what you're doing. A lot of people can tout, maybe they're successful in business, other affairs. What you are doing is changing young people's lives. And to me, that is the most valuable thing that you could do, investing in our youth. And I love your hearts. I love your honesty. I love who you guys are. I love your vulnerability. And it's been a pleasure. And I'm excited to see where we go in this relationship and how we really make a difference. So thank you guys for what you do. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Fellas, got anything for close it up? Anything, Miss Brother Miles, for close it up.
That's right.
I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure, man. Always great spending time with you guys. So let's get to work and do something.
I'm about to say, let's get to work. So what we'll do, so this is another, I'm going to let you close it off with the last word to the community. But before we end, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Facebook, Cut Different Inc. Follow us on, Instagram, Cut Different _Inc. Any website, our website, cutdifferent.org. Just get involved and familiar with Cut Different and the brand and the things that we're doing. We're sitting here with our mayor-elect. He'll be taking a seat in December, but we can't wait to see what he has going on. But I'm going to pass it to you. Yeah. I'll just finish off with words of encouragement or whatever to the citizens of Ocala and word.
Well, I truly do believe we live in the best community in the country. Obviously, we have our issues like everyone else, but the overall feeling of this community is people care. And I think the thing is we need to come together for the good of the community and accomplish something special. And I know we can do that. So I'm excited to serve as your next mayor. I'm excited to meet you if I haven't met you, but let's go out and work together and show the country how to get it done.
Love it. All right. Love it. That's a wrap. So, fellas, great job. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome, man.